Call to order the January 27th, 2025 Pampa City Commission meeting. If you'd stand with me while Pastor Hancock gives our invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. God, I am just in awe of your goodness, and we are just so thankful that you have blessed each and every one of us with another year. And God, as we begin 2025, I just ask for your favor upon Pampa, Texas. May you give our city leaders wisdom as far as what your will is for our community, God. Give us direction. God, bless our city officials and city employees. Bless them personally, bless their families. And may 2025 be a prosperous year for us, not only professionally as a community, but also personally. God, may we seek your will in everything that we do, and may our actions reflect your love that you have for all of us. May we be the light of the world that you have called us to be. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
At this time, do we have anybody listed to speak today? If not, we'll get into our reports. We have a ESU annual report from Troy.
Jim and Liz couldn't be here today, so I'll kind of give you the breakdown of how their year went. In 2024, CERT ESU hold a couple of meetings that attempt to recruit more members. They were pretty successful with that. They got 5 new members. They're at full staff now of a count of 12, so that's good. They've been running short just like every other department, especially in the emergency division. Our volunteers have continued to work hard to service our local departments and the citizens of Gray County and the city of Pampa. Our director and assistant director attended a CERT Academy in Amarillo last year and plans to attend Academy to become certified CERT trainers, right? So you guys are familiar with what CERT is, right? Emergency response team. It's community emergency response team. So we kind of divided those 2 times. So we did have a disaster, that type of thing. We can organize them in groups to do special function, those types of things. They can do search and rescue type stuff. So we're still in the beginning phases of it, but we'll get there with them. Over the past year, our ESU division has logged approximately 475 hours of service in funeral escorts, traffic control for parades, structure fires, and vehicle collisions. Recreation park events such as 4th of July celebration and the celebration of lights in December. ESU also assists in multi-agency evacuation of Pampa during the Smokehouse Creek fire in early March. As much as we love to see those hourly numbers lower year after year, we're thankful for the opportunity to continue our community and first responder in their times of need. One thing that they failed to mention is they're also our storm spotters. So I rely on them heavily to go out in the field when we're having inclement weather so I can sit in the command center. So thank you again for your continuous support and efforts to help our community. Director Jim Hart and Assistant Director Liz Wood.
Thank you, Troy. I guess now we'll get into our annual police report. Lance?
Thank you, Commission. I apologize for the voice. I spent last week fighting off one heck of a something. I'm happy to say that I feel better now, but I don't sound it. But nonetheless, this is every year we come together. We are legislatively, by legislation, we have to present a racial profiling report to our governing body every year. Along with that, we always throw in some information on an annual report to kind of give you guys some, give you a look at what's been going on within our department over the course of 2024. I don't know if you've had a chance to look over the reports when they were given to you, but we'll start with the racial profiling analysis report. And I'm not going to go through every column and every line. Just want to highlight what we're looking for here. Is there was never really a problem when racial profiling came out of the amount of stops broken down by gender or race. Where the problems were coming in is how many of those stops concluded with a search being conducted or an arrest being made. So there was some work that needed to be done there. And so I think this is a very good tool for us to use and look at. And if you'll look over on that right column, those are the numbers we're going to be focused in primarily with regards to our demographics and the percentages. For 2024, there were a total of 4,543 traffic stops made. And if you go down to where under race and ethnicity, you'll see numbers in this ballpark throughout this report. 60%, almost 61% of those were white, 4.58% were African American, and 34.5% were Hispanic or Latino. And there was less than a percent of Native American or Indian or Asian and Pacific there you'll look at. And those are the numbers you'll see throughout most of this. You get into gender. Of those stops, 39, just under 40% were women, and just over 60% were men. And again, the demographics on the side there reflect what what we're hoping to see as we put these numbers together with regards to race. Down at the bottom of that page 1, reason for stop, 305 of those stops were a violation of law. Other than traffic, and again, you see the demographic percentages on the next page reflect that. 3,178 of those were a moving traffic violation, either speeding or fail to maintain a signal lane, running a stop sign or red light, something of that nature. Again, the demographics there, you see 61.5% white, 4.72% African American, and 32.9% Hispanic or Latino, which are the margins we want to stay within. Traffic violations regarding the vehicle itself could be a busted tail light or expired registration sticker. Something that's non-moving there, again, the demographics on percentages over on the side reflect what we're wanting to see with these numbers. On a number of vehicles that where a search was conducted on these stops, of the 4,543, over 4,200 of them did not result in a search of the vehicle. There were 316 searches. And again, the demographics there, 59.8%, 7.2%, 32.9% are their numbers that we're wanting to see there. 156 of those searches were by consent. Again, the racial breakdown there fits within our parameters. There were 4 of them where there was contraband in plain view that the officer could see. And there were 84 based on probable cause. And in all of those, our racial breakdown with regards to our demographics here in Pampa all looked good. Out of those, 160 of them, contraband was discovered. And once again, what we're looking at is the percentages on the races to make sure they stay similar within a few percentage points of each other, and they do there. The 156 of those, there was no contraband found. Description of contraband, 116 of those, narcotics was found. Again, the percentages line up there. 37 of them, alcohol was found. And on 5 of those, illegal weapons were found. We move over to the enforcement part of it. Excuse me. As a result of the stop, verbal warning, there you see that 0. I've explained this before, but just to edify, it does not mean that we're jerks and we give everybody paper. The reason we do not give verbal warnings is because our written warnings help us gather the data needed to have a thorough report when it comes to the racial profiling. So it's not that we're anti-verbal warning, it's just that there's no way to gather that intel as easy as it is with the written warnings. And so you'll see there were 2,659 written warnings. Again, the demographics line up the way we want them to be. There were 1,750 citations. Again, the demographic percentages are exactly where we want them to be there. There were 36 instances where a written warning was written and an arrest was made. Again, the demographics are in line. Excuse me. There were 98 instances where a citation was issued and an arrest was made. And again, you can see over there in that far right column the percentages that we're looking for with regards to our demographics. Go down on what the arrests were based on. The 78 of those were based on penal code violations. 14 of those were on traffic law violations. There was one city ordinance violation where an arrest was made, and there were 41 arrests made on outstanding warrants. And on the last page, we'll get a little bit into our use of force report here shortly. But out of all of those, 4,542 of those, there was no physical force used whatsoever. We did have one registered use of force on a traffic stop where bodily injury was sustained by the suspect, and that had to do with our officer-involved shooting we had last spring. So that, if you have any questions on the racial profiling report, like I say, the numbers we really look at are we, in each of those columns and instances, are our demographics and how we respond to whatever, whether it's an arrest or a citation or a warning, are they staying within those margins? And they are, and I'm very proud of the officers for doing that. It says a lot about how they approach their work. So any questions on the racial profiling? Real quickly, I'm just going to look at the annual pursuit report. I'm not going to go through it. You guys can look at it. This past year, we had 7 pursuits, which is up 1 from last year. However, 2 of those were not pursuits that we initiated. It's where another law enforcement agency, either DPS or Sheriff's Office or another law enforcement agency. We've actually had them from 2 or 3 counties end up over here before, and we assisted in those pursuits. So there's a chart there and some statistics for you guys to be able to look at. But I used to love pursuits when I was a young patrol officer. As an administrator, they scare me to death. So not as much fun as they used to be. Fortunately, we don't get in too many of them here in town. On accident and injury analysis, again, I'm not going to go through all the pages. You can read some of those things. We had 1 additional motor vehicle collision for a total of 3 this year. We had 2 instances where an officer backed into an object, and 1 incident, accident where the other person was at fault. But that is 1 additional accident over last year. Personal injury, we also had 1 additional injury this year. We had 1 where an officer fell. We had another one where he was involved in an altercation with a suspect. And we had 1 that was bitten by a dog. So we had 1 additional injury to report this year. But any questions on the pursuit or accident injury report there?
No, sir. No.
Okay. Use of force analysis, just hit some of the numbers there. On page 3 of the use of force analysis, when you look at that, there are 2 different kind of charts there. And the bottom one is the one that is more accurate to each use of force. There could be multiple uses of force in one report, so those numbers are going to be different from each other. The one on the bottom is the actual uses of force. And if you look down there, we had 38 uses of force this year, which is down 6 from last year. So that'll give you some information there, and there's some other stuff in there on what the use of forces were and any corrective measures or anything that needed to be taken on by the agency with regards to training or education in dealing with use of force. So any questions on that? I'm going to try to fly through the annual report real quick. Some of it's a broken record stuff, but I appreciate Lieutenant Massey for gathering all this data and putting it together for us here. First, you're looking at department-wide stats. Our total number of arrests went from 704 last year to 780 for 2024. Total reports generated went up about 100, about 95 reports, more reports this year. Our vehicle crashes went down by 1, which is still well below our 10-year average. And I find that pretty remarkable in that it's noticeable to anybody who dares to get out of their house here in town that traffic has increased in Pampa. Just a case in point, our license plate reader on Duncan Street that just takes northbound traffic. And mind you, you could drive your car 12 times in front of it. It's only going to read it once. And one day in December, there were over 5,700 cars that went northbound on Duncan. That's just that one lane. It's not coming southbound either. So you could almost probably double that for southbound traffic, and then who knows what Hobart's going to look like when those get in. So traffic has increased, and for our traffic, motor vehicle crashes to go down any at all is a very positive sign to see there. Calls for service dropped this year from 17,500 to 16,255. We did notice a pretty noticeable drop from about September through the end of the year. You guys see in the weekly reports, I usually put those numbers, and we're always 350 or so. Usually, and starting about September, we started seeing that drop into the high 200s, which is not a bad thing. We're not complaining about that. It's still a lot of calls. But we did see that, and hopefully that's a trend that we can maintain there. Citations and warnings. Our warnings went up substantially over that time, and our citations went down quite a bit as well. Part of that is much of the year, one of our motor officers was out having a baby, and the bikes were down for a little while as we were transitioning into the new bikes. So, but overall, the numbers of citations and warnings together went up a little bit, as we'll see later. Patrol Division is headed up by Lieutenant Moses Campa. He's done a great job in his first year there. Very proud of the work he's done. And information about the Patrol Division there, you can read the calls for service that Patrol answered went down from 16,827 to 15,391. Again, pretty noticeable reduction there that we are okay with. We feel there's quite a few factors that play into that, but we're going to try to stay focused on all the positive ones, and we'll take that any day of the week. Patrol Division arrests, they made 746 arrests this year, up from 633 last year. They investigated about 15 more motor vehicle crashes this year. Just in the Patrol Division overall, again, we were down by 1. Citations and warnings were up by 327. And that's usually when you have those more arrests and more citations, you've got some young officers that like to get out and get after it. So down on the bottom is the only thing in our entire report that gave us any concern whatsoever is our response time moved in the wrong direction. We've already looked into some of that and found there were some data entry issues on a couple of things. Obviously, going through 17,000 calls, it would be very difficult to go through each and every one of them and see. But we figure it's probably a factor of that, and that coupled with being a little short-handed throughout most of the year. But that is something that is on our radar, and Lieutenant Campa and his sergeants are looking at ways to mitigate the response time. Our traffic unit is our motors division, is currently headed up by Assistant Chief Kenneth Hobson. This year, they investigated 58 traffic accidents and wrote a total of 688 citations and warnings for various offenses. You can look down at those graphics there. Almost 20 fewer motor vehicle crashes that they investigated. And you can see a pretty good drop there in the citations and warnings. But again, there was a lot of the year that they weren't out every day during the week for various reasons. Criminal Investigations Division is headed up by Stephanie Willoughby. She has a sergeant and a corporal, and when we're full staff, 2 detectives that work under her. They investigated a total of 1,706 reports. That was up from last year, 1,695, not by much, but a few. Of those 1,706 reports, 963 of them have a disposition status of closed or cleared by arrest or citation. In addition, another 359 have a case disposition of unfounded. And what that means, there are a mixture of instances where a report was taken solely for information or documentational purposes, which no offense was alleged to have occurred, or cases in which an offense was reported and later proven to not have occurred, or it did not meet the appropriate elements of the reported crime. If you remove that unfounded report number out of the total cases investigated, and looking at what's left there, they had a clearance rate of a little over 71%, which is outstanding, especially when you couple the fact that they have been working with just 3 of them for this entire year. So Stephanie and Sergeant Parks and Corporal Ramirez have done a great job in CID. Just a couple of charts here that show kind of the breakdown on cases and how they are finished out. Our communications division, I'm proud to say, is fully staffed. Jessica Skinner is our supervisor over dispatch, and she has done an outstanding job. She's put together a great staff. We've got some young newbies in there, but they have really caught on well. The girls have done a great job of training, and they do a fantastic job. You can see on this first page there, they answered a total of 14,457 911 calls. 4,500 of those were emergency calls. 3,152 were not, and 6,800 of them were repeat calls, were multiple calls on a motor vehicle accident. So that is up just a hair from last year, but far below what it was 2 years ago. So they stay pretty busy in there. If you'll look there, they total dispatched calls for service. And there's a breakdown there by agencies, but there were 29,451. And this chart goes back to 2006. You can say our lowest was in 06, a little over 17,000 calls, and our highest was a couple of years ago at a little over 31,000 calls. So we're still above the last 10-year average by quite a bit. Breaks it down by agencies down below there. You can see, obviously, Pampa PD has almost 50% of the calls that are dispatched by our dispatch center. The Sheriff's Office had a little over 6,000 calls. Gray County EMS, 4,635 calls. Our Pampa Animal Services had 2,517 calls. And Pampa Fire Department, 2,344 calls. And you can see some various other agencies down there that fill out the rest of that chart. Our Administrative and Supports Division is headed up by Lieutenant Massey. He is over police records, property and evidence room, our mobile device forensics laboratory, which is a program that our district attorney has helped fund. It's where we can forensically download and extract evidence from electronic devices. And we have done that several times, unfortunately, since we've had that, but it's nice to have. And plus, there are other outside agencies that also bring their work here for us to do for them as well. And Brian oversees that. Our drone unit, management of our Texas Police Chief's Best Practices Accreditation Program, which I'll talk about here in a minute, our grant programs, and he also coordinates with our city IT department for any of those, and any other little hat that I can find a spot to fit on Brian's head. He does that as well. He does a great job for us. This division is also over our Top of Texas Crime Stoppers, which incorporates 3 different counties. But probably the biggest and most important to me is that Brian oversees, and this Administration Supports Division oversees our training and education. You read down there in that 3rd paragraph, in the 2024 calendar year, officers and telecommunicators of the department attended and completed 362 training courses for a total of 4,272 in-service training hours. Since 2020, if you'll remember, we got our TCO training provider license, which means we don't have to go through a COG or Amarillo College or somewhere to get some of the training. We can do our TCO training ourselves. We've done a lot. We've hosted a lot of schools. We've had people come from several different states across the nation to come to little old Pampa, Texas for training. We're very proud of that. We're very blessed that we have 13 officers who are certified TCOL instructors on staff. You can read down there, during the 2024 calendar year, Training Division instructed 27 courses, 173 students, and 802 total course hours. The number of courses decreased by 9. However, there was an increase of 364 total hours trained, which means instead of a one-day course or a half-a-day course, there were more week-long courses or 3-day-long courses. So lots of training hours. And you can again see those graphics there that indicate those. The next thing talks about crime in Pampa. Following data is compiled from the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or NIBRS, data submitted to the Texas Department of Public Safety and Federal Bureau of Investigations on a monthly basis. These include only offenses classified as Part 1 index crimes by the FBI. And those are homicide, forcible rape, or sexual assault, as we call it here in Texas, robbery, aggravated assaults, burglaries, thefts or larcenies, and motor vehicle thefts. And for the year, ours decreased by 25, which you can see in that chart down there below. It goes all the way back to 1995. That's an all-time low. And while we're very proud to give you those stats, I don't want you to think that I'm saying that we are the reason that is the way it is. We are in cooperation with our school district, our local churches, and the community as a whole, all have a huge part in those crime stats looking the way they do. So we're proud to be a part of it, but certainly we're not ringing our bells saying that's because of us. We're just proud to get to see those numbers go in that direction. Drugs and narcotic cases, you can see that we had a raise by about 67 total drug cases over what it was last year, for a total of 136. And drug, narcotic, or paraphernalia cases, you can see, went down by about 15 over last year. So when people ask about the drug problem in Pampa, I always try to correlate that with our burglaries, our larcenies, and our thefts. And if you'll look back on the previous page, you'll see that those reported crimes have gone down quite a bit. So I'm not to say that they don't exist in our community, because we all know they do, but it is, in my opinion, headed in the right direction for sure. Finish up, just a few accomplishments to talk about. Again, crime continues to remain well below the 10-year average. Those Part 1 crimes within the city of Pampa are the lowest they've been, in over 30 years. So we're very proud of that. The 30-year average of 910 is 910, and ours came out this year at 404. So those are good, not only for us to look at, for our community, but I know that when businesses or corporations and stuff start looking for places they want to come plant their flag, those are some things that I'm sure they look at. And so we're very proud to be able to show that this is a good place to plant your flag. Continuation of the TPCA accreditation program. This Pampa got involved in this in 2006. Kenneth Hobson was instrumental in it back then. We were the 5th agency in the state of Texas, 5th or 6th? 6th agency in the state of Texas to be an accredited agency. And this last August, we had our on-site, and we are now I think we're the 5th now, though, because one of them didn't make muster. We're the 5th agency in the state of Texas to be recognized 5 times. And that's over each 4 years they come in and do that accreditation. And so this is our 5th one, and this April, when we go to the Police Chiefs Conference, we'll get to be recognized in front of the entire conference. So very proud of that. Hoppy and, of course, Brian stepped in, and it takes more than just 1 or 2 people to put all that stuff together. There's a lot that goes into it, and the whole agency following alongside those best practices. We're very proud of that. This one, I don't know why they threw this in there, 2024 TPCA Innovation Award. They threw me a curveball there, and they, along with the school district, nominated me for an innovation award at the TPCA conference last year, and I received it. I'm very proud of that. However, It certainly is a shared award. This is due to the training program that we put together to go along with our school guardian program. That's a training program that has continued. We just had a refresher course, well, it was a couple of months ago, couple of 3 months ago, and they really enjoy it, and we enjoy it as well. It's a tough program to do. It's tough enough to train police officers in their field of expertise. But when you take a bunch of people who have never been trained in this kind of stuff, it can be difficult. But man, the school district has done a great job partnering with us and just have been willing to really stretch themselves in some of this training. So that award was presented. I was very proud of that. But like I say, without the school district and the staff that I get to work with, working many hours to put together a program, that could have never happened. We did send another person to a motorcycle officer school down in College Station this last year. There were 12 people in the class. We were proud to say that he graduated #1, top of his class. Did a great job down there, and hopefully very soon, as soon as we get some staff going, then we'll be able to get him to doing that full time. But we're very proud of him. He represented the Pampa Police Department very well down there. There were people from all over the country, and I think there was even one, maybe two from Canada that were there. So he did very good there. Very proud of Lieutenant Massey. He graduated at LCC, the Leadership Command College that's put on through Limit down at Sam Houston State. It's, in my opinion, the best leadership program for law enforcement, for sure, in the state of Texas. And it's a very difficult school to get into. There's a long waiting list, and it's also a pretty difficult school to get through. And Brian got through. That consists of three-week-long courses that are at various places throughout the state of Texas, and Brian did a great job, graduated there. We have several in the queue waiting to go to that, so hopefully we can have one, maybe two more this next year to be able to share with you as well. And finally, and most sadly, this Thursday we get to celebrate, tongue-in-cheek, 45 years of dedicated service to our city. I'm gonna save my speech till the end, but Kenneth Hobson is hanging it up Thursday, and I've never, in my 30-plus years in law enforcement, ever worked alongside anyone as committed and dedicated to their community as Kenneth Hobson. And 2 years prior to that, he was a deputy sheriff at a county in Kansas, and 4 years prior to that, he was served our country in the United States Air Force. So 51 years of having a servant's heart, and he truly exemplifies every element of the definition of a servant's heart, and we're so happy for him. I'm a little angry with him. He was not truthful with me. He said he'd write it out with me, and he lied. But we're very proud for him. It's going to be very, very difficult to, if not impossible, to fill his shoes. But huge accomplishment for him and his family, and we certainly are grateful that we were able to learn from you a lot. We appreciate it. We wish you the best, even though you lied. But if any of y'all have any questions about the annual review, I know it's a lot of information. I tried to cut it as short as I could, but either the racial profiling report or the annual report, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I know.
I appreciate the
Did a
work
good
you
job.
put into it.
Good job, Chief. It was. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
With that, we can get into our agenda items. And agenda item 1, consider approving the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 regular commission meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 regular commission meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Agenda item, well, it's going to do the same thing it did last week. There it is. Agenda item number 2, commission absence. Consider excusing the absence of Mayor DeFever from January 13th, 2025 regular commission meeting.
I make a motion to excuse the absence of Mayor DeFever from the January 13th, 2025 regular commission meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Agenda item number 3, December list of disbursements. Consider approving the list of disbursements dated December 2024.
Make a motion to approve the list of disbursements dated December 2024.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody with questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Agenda item 4, Resolution R25-002, PEDC agreement with Zone Bowling Center. Consider adopting on second and final reading, resolution number R25-002, approving an economic development project between the Pampa Economic Development Corporation and Zone Bowling. That resolution reads, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pampa, Texas, approving a project of Pampa Economic Development Corporation, providing a severability clause, a savings clause, and an effective date.
I make a motion to adopt on second and final reading resolution number R25-002 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Ryan, do you have any comments or? No, I have nothing further to add. Any questions?
Sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Agenda item 5, award bid for electronic billboard. Consider awarding bid in the amount of $156,316.40 to Mega LED Technologies for the electronic billboard project.
Make a motion to award the bid for the electronic billboard project to Mega LED Technologies.
A second.
A motion and a second. Luke, you have anything to?
Yeah, just to give you all the rundown real quick, this was a project that we got money granted by the EDC to put up a new billboard sign to replace the one at the MK Brown area park. We received 2 bids last Thursday, one from Mega LED and one from High Plains Canvas, doing business as AAA Signs out of Amarillo. Mega LED was $156,316.40 as red. High Plains was $243,626.40. Comparing their packages and everything they included, the signs were pretty much the same. They all bid according to the spec on the sign. We are going to get advantage with Mega. They decided that they didn't like the existing base and pole, so they're going to provide a whole new one at the included cost, so that's nothing additional for that. So they're going to tear down the old sign, old steel structure, and the base and put up a brand new one. So we're going to get a complete new package with that. So I think based upon their review, I've looked them up, I've called them several times, talked to Steve, their estimating manager, really nice guy. They do projects all over the nation. This is kind of in their backyard wheelhouse to do. So they're based out of Grand Prairie, very impressive. So they've done signs and stuff for NASA. If y'all want to look them up, they're pretty cool. So any questions on that?
No.
No question or comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Agenda item 6, Animal Services Agreement. Consider approving a 2-year animal service agreement with the following cities: Clarendon, Groom, Hardwick, LaForge, McLean, Miami, and Skellytown.
Make a motion to approve the animal service agreements with Clarendon, Groom, Howardwick, LaForge, McLean, Miami, and Skellytown as presented.
I second.
Bonnie, do you have anything to add?
You know, overall, this is basically the same thing we've had every 2 to 3 years. Just bringing things back up to date a little bit. We provide for them a service of disposal, is basically what it boils down to. We see a little bit from them all the time, nothing outrageous. The biggest thing in that agreement that we changed was processing of rabies specimens. It went up a little bit. The price of shipping, et cetera, went up, so we brought that up just enough to take care of what we needed to.
I might just add there that in visiting with Chief Richburg today, I hadn't had a chance to talk to Monty, but these these prices, if you look at them, you can see they're pretty low. Obviously, $20 to euthanize and dispose of an animal is gonna take an hour of a staff member's time, and those staff members doing that euthanasia are probably making more than that $20. So we probably need to revisit this. This is a 2-year agreement, so when it comes back up next time, we'll sit down with everybody and really go through it and adjust those prices.
Any other question? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say, thank you, Monty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Agenda item 7, Lovett Memorial Library Long Range Plan. Consider approving the 2025-2030 Long Range Plan of the Lovett Memorial Library as required by Texas Administrative Code. Excuse me. Title 13, Rule 1.83.
I make a motion to approve the long-range plan of the Lovett Memorial Library as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Misty, here to speak on that?
Misty, come up to the mic, Misty. Thank you.
She didn't want.
Come on up here. Put the spotlight on her, Kevin. Pull it down a little bit. There you go.
Every 5 years, I have to present a plan with the Library Advisory Board on the strategic 5-year long-range plan and to have it approved. And then it goes with the annual report that I submit to the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. Do y'all just want me to go over the highlights of the plan, like the public service? Y'all have any
Unless they want
questions?
some more, I've antagonized you enough. I mean, if they have questions, great.
I think we're kind of.
I got what I needed to get done. Thank you, Misty.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Missy. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. And that concludes the